Thank you, everyone, for coming out and spending your Saturday out here. We really appreciate it, guys. And welcome to the Los Angeles Ag Conservatory Stunt Panel. If you don't know, my name is Bonsai Vitali, and I will be your host and moderator. Yeah, thank you. So the topic tonight is going to be, what do stunt coordinators expect of stunt performers and of actors and actresses on set? So as you can see up here, we were originally supposed to have 4. So Shauna Duggins sends her deepest regards. She got called last night to go second unit direct the show she's on. So she's there right now, actually. But this is a nice consolation prize. Sorry. So this is the way it's going to work tonight. I'm going to start by introducing the panelists here. I have a couple of questions that I'm going to ask each one of them, and then we're going to open up the audience for questions. And we have a mic here and a mic there. So when we get to that point, just line up behind the mic, introduce yourself, ask your question, and who you'd want that question to go to. Cool? Wow. If I were to list all of the accomplishments and accolades of these 3 coordinators here, it would take up the whole 2 hours. So I'm just going to do a really brief introduction, and then we're going to get started. Is that cool for everybody? Yeah, come on. This is Saturday night. This is not a library. Is it cool for everyone? Yeah. Okay, well, he currently has a film in post-production that he coordinated called Back in Action with Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz. He's also stunt coordinated and been a fight choreographer on countless projects. And he's also one of the owners of JAM. Of course, talking about Travis Wong. Okay, next we have the vice president of Stunts Unlimited. And he's currently coordinating Rebel Moon Part 2 Scargiver.
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, Scargiver. Freddie's been nominated for, two Taurus Awards for Best Fights. So obviously this is Freddie Bosiegas. And our final panelist tonight has been the stunt coordinator and second unit director for Doom Patrol and The Punisher. And he is currently the stunt coordinator for the Terminal List, Shoot.
You can do it.
Dark Wolf.
Yes.
Dark Wolf. He's also won a Taurus Award for Best Work with a Vehicle in Jason Bourne. So we have obviously Tom Williams. Okay, so I'd like to start by asking each one of you a question. The same question first. We'll start with you, Tom. Whoa.
I didn't take notes.
What do you as a stunt coordinator expect of a stunt performer on set?
I mean, by the time you get to set, you've been vetted. So we know you're going to be skilled, talented. Mostly when you get to set, I expect you to be heads up, paying attention, eyes open. I want you present. I want you ready to do whatever we ask for. You know, if I'm on set and I turn around because I need help with something, and there's no one there, get pretty aggro about that. If I turn around, there's a group of people standing there, I know they're ready to go. I know they're going to be fired up. They're going to work well. I mean, just be present, be aware of what's going on, watch. Don't go sit in your trailer. You know, there's a lot of things you can learn on set, even if it's not just from me. You can watch camera, you can watch the directors, you can watch the grips, costumes, anyone. You can learn something about filmmaking, not just stunts. So just being present and being aware and being helpful is probably the first thing I would say.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. Freddie, I'll ask you the same question. What, as a stunt coordinator, do you expect of a stunt performer on set?
And I have to go after that one. You took my answer.
I saw your notes earlier.
Yeah, thanks. I would say your first and foremost thing is a performer, right? So if you're a performer, you're there to perform, right? So of course, with everything Tom said, but let's say, for example, you guys get hired to fight a celebrity, right? An A-list celebrity. Your job is to, one, say, learn the choreography, right? Be paying attention. What I would do back in the day, performing all the time, was I would learn all the spots, just make sure I knew everything. Because all the time, you know, we're looking, we're watching, we go, oh, we need to shuffle around, personnel, move people around. So it's your job is to be the best performer that you can be, right? You go in, you make adjustments, right? Yourself, right? You go, oh, my spacing, I need to move here. I need to do this. I need to adjust. I need to pay attention to where the camera is. If the camera's over there, I might need to be a little bit over here to make this punch work, right? You know, if I'm gonna be fighting this actor, I know I'm not gonna try and, you know, jam him really hard and, you know, and bang arms or get too close and punch somebody in the face. That is I think something that I don't think very many people really have done well in my experience, where they just show up. But then I find myself having to go, okay, guys, look, try it like this. And then I start teaching people. And it's not our job. I don't know how you guys, feel about this, Tom and Travis, but I don't think it's our job to teach you on the set, right? It's not our job to train you to be there. Like Tom said, you're vetted already. So you're bringing your professionalism and your skill set to the table. So it's like, it helps us tremendously if we don't have to worry about you. The minute we have to worry about you doing your job, it's not good, right? It's not a good thing. So you come in and you fill the spot, you keep the actor safe, you keep yourself safe, you're aware. Like, say, for example, Travis gets knocked to the floor, then it's your time, you get hit, and then you go to do a fall, you're aware, you see where he's falling, you go, okay, you're gonna be right there, I'm gonna fall right here, this is gonna be perfect. You don't just go, oh, and throw a reaction and then land on him, because I've seen that tons of times from just not paying attention. Right? And not being aware of your surroundings. And that just falls back to what I was saying about being a performer, a stunt performer. You come with the energy, you come with the attitude, you perform in that spot. And if we're having to come up to you and go, hey man, give me more energy, can you scream? Can you be, loud? Can you be, whatever? Again, it's not worth it for me to have you in that position. And I would switch you out. I did a movie once where, I kept having to tell a performer, man, you need to make your swings bigger, do that. I was like, you know what? Hey, can you scoot over, scoot a little bit more. And he was out of the shot completely. Just out of the shot, just out of the way. And he didn't even make it in the thing. Cause I was like, I ain't got time. I ain't got time, right? We ain't got time, to do that, And so you expect everybody to be heads up, be aware. If you have a weapon in your hand, say it's a sword and you're fighting, right? You're not like, you gotta look around, you gotta pay attention. You have an aluminum prop weapon, let's say, that's can still do some damage. You don't like, oh, watch out, and then hit the guy behind you because you're just in your own space and you're in your own world, just doing your own thing when it's a team dynamic with everybody around you. So sorry, it's a long-winded answer to that, but just a performer. Just if you're a performer and that's what you're called to do, that is your job. No other job. You're not there to tell me how to shoot it better.
That's great. Awesome. Great answer, Freddie.
I concur.
Yeah.
That's it. I concur.
Travis, same question to you, Travis.
Yeah, this is great going last so they can give all the answers. I would reiterate what both of them said. There was a quote that a stunt coordinator told me a long time ago, which is, it's called stunt work. It's not called stunt school. So when you're on set, you should be expected to be working. Obviously, inherently, you will learn stuff on the job and through experience of being on set. But if you're on contract and you're getting paid for the day, you should show up to the best of your ability with as much knowledge and expertise that you have and to perform your job. When I look at hiring people, I look at two main things primarily. There's obviously tons of other things, but the first two things I look at, first is talent. I always want to hire the person that's best for the job, that is the most skilled for the job, and is right for that project. I don't care if you're my friend, I really want to hire the person that's best for the job. The second thing I look at is character. I look at people that will not only be a good representation of themselves on set, but I know that they'll represent me as the coordinator that hired them. And most importantly, I know that they'll represent our stunt community as a whole very well. I don't know if you gentlemen feel this, but a lot of times in my career, I have felt that sometimes as stunt performers, we kind of have a target on our back because we are a very highly paid department. We tend to have a lot of requests in order to pull things off, and we are considered cast. So I do feel like a lot of people are staring at us at all times, and I pay attention constantly. I pay attention to the people and the way that they talk to Crafty. If you don't say please and thank you, that's a huge red flag to me. If you don't hang up your wardrobe at the end of the day, that's another huge red flag to me. Basically, doing things that should be common sense to a lot of people, but may not be so common sense. So I'm just going to say these out loud. You should never be on time. You should be 15 to 20 minutes early. You don't need to be there so early that the ADs are trying to shuffle you around. But you should never be in a situation where you're getting a phone call asking where you are because you're not going through the works when it's your call time, right? So being early is like the number one thing that I think all of us can do, and all of us can make sure that we're on top of that. The second thing in regards to what these guys said is just being a very helpful hand. I definitely I rose through the ranks of my career just simply because I was a sponge and I was very willing to listen quietly. And when my opinion was asked, I would voice my opinion. But I wouldn't voice it until it was asked at a very early stage in my career. And I think that's one thing that just a lot of performers could benefit from, which is a lot of us are very, very talented. Every single person in this room is talented. And a lot of times we come with this confidence and sense of knowledge. And sometimes it's just not the right place to say something on set. So the one thing that I learned growing up is definitely just keep your mouth shut until you're asked a question, if possible. I say this at all of my speeches, so if you heard this before, sorry. But I don't think you can show up and do your job and go home and that's good enough, right? You can show up and take a paycheck and go home and that's fine. The people that stand out to me are the ones that put in extra work, not just physically, but also mentally. So one thing that stands out to me are people that I hire as day players are people that actually research the show and know character names. Can't tell you how many times I've hired people on a show and they show up and they just accepted the job and they have no idea what my show's about. They don't know what the number one cast character's name is. They don't know what number two's name is. And so I say, hey, Tom's gonna go punch you. And they're like, who's Tom? It's like, bro, you're getting paid over $1,000 a day. How do you not know the characters on the show that you are a guest on today? And so just little things like that, like whenever you get a job. Also, I always tell people to research your fellow colleagues. I've seen many people shove their foots in their mouths by talking out loud in a room, not realizing who they're sitting next to. I've had guys say things and try to be super cocky, and I'm like, this guy has no idea that that was the first Spider-Man for 4 movies. And this guy's talking about how crazy wire gags are, you know? So research your colleagues, right? Like you're gonna be with these people on set and not only you're working with them, but hopefully you're trying to keep them safe and they're trying to keep you safe. So I just try to give them the respect of researching who they are. If I were to go on a job tomorrow with these guys, I would know all of their credits. I would know what they're known for. I would know what their specialty is. And I would have something common so that if I'm sitting, waiting around, I have something to share with them. But also it's just to show a level of respect that, hey, I'm gonna fight alongside you guys. I've taken the time to know who you guys are. Other than that, the other thing that drives me crazy is everyone has 24 hours in a day. Let's say we sleep for 8 hours, 16 hours left. Maybe you have to work a job to pay your bills, 8 hours working. You still have 8 hours left every day. If you are not training as hard as you possibly can, you cannot expect to make as much money as a doctor and a lawyer. If you put in as much time as a doctor and a lawyer, you can make as much money as a doctor and a lawyer, if not more, right? And I've said this in all of my workshops, and I'm gonna say it again because there may be one person that's never heard it before. If you are not actively training as hard as you trained in high school for free, you are doing yourself the biggest disservice of your life. This is a career that has absolutely gifted me with more things than I ever thought imaginable. I've been able to open businesses off the back end of making money in this industry, and I have so many goals that I'm going to achieve just simply because of stunts. With that being said, though, I know at the end of the day, I put in as much time as I possibly could to improve my skill set, physically and mentally. So I just challenge you, if you're not working that often right now, please make sure that you're training as much as possible. Please make sure that when you show up, you have the physical and mental stamina to go through a 12-hour day, and I don't look over and I see you putting your hands on your knees, or I see you tired. We're all human, and I totally understand that. But at the same time, if you have so much idle time right now, there's nothing to do but train and get better. I have some friends that probably shouldn't work as often as they do, because they're difficult. I have a friend that has tattoos all over his fingers. That's a nightmare for hair and makeup. But do you want to know why he works all the time? Because he's the best. He is the best when it comes to certain things. There's no one else that can do it. And so shows will put up with Force calling him every day because he's the best. And so for me, it's just always been really simple. It's either train to be the best or pray that you're going to get the call. And I'd rather be in the former group.
Nice. Freddie,
Can
go
I
ahead.
add to that? Can I
Please,
add to that?
add on, Freddie.
What that is super important, and I want to add to that, Travis, to have you guys kind of understand the where the business is at right now, in my opinion, right? The more so now than ever before, I think in our history, our business is not just here in town. It's not just in LA. It's completely global. Okay, it's very global. I've done a ton of shows in overseas in Europe, in Budapest and Spain and Bulgaria, Serbia. I've done a bunch of stuff overseas in London. I was in London for a show. I know Tom here is going to be going to Budapest soon for Monday. And so, with that being said, is the stunt community is not just here. It's in every one of those cities, and every one of those cities you have guys that are popping up that are extremely talented in their field. So that you got really good judo guys overseas and wrestlers, martial artists, motorcycle, riders, car guys, guys in France. I don't know if you guys follow any of there's a really big stunt school in France that has a lot of talented kids coming out of right now, but it's really global. And so with that being said, what I mean by that is, if I'm gonna go do a show, right? And let's just say here in LA, I'm gonna do a show in LA. I have a huge pool of people to pull from, right? A talent pool. I'm gonna go to Atlanta to do a show, right? That pool shrinks, right? Because there's a lot of people in Atlanta that are good, right? They've gotten a lot better over these last few years as well too, training and doing what Travis is saying, train all the time, they get better. But if I'm gonna go do a show in Europe, I'm gonna go to Budapest, right? I'm gonna go to UK. That list is on probably one hand, right? So basically, what are you gonna do as a performer to be one of those 5 people, those 10 people on that list to go do a film, a show overseas? And that truly is what you're competing against. Your competition is global now. Someone told me that in 2006. And here we are in 2024, and it's the truth. You have all these streaming services that are busting out movie after movie after movie, and they go and they have a huge film population that opens up in Korea, and you got all these talented dudes. And same thing in Serbia. Serbia is kind of a sleeper. You have a bunch of really talented Serbian stunt guys. The Ukrainian stunt guys. There's stunt team in Ukraine, and they're awesome. So for you guys, that I just want you to understand the gravity of what we expect, what I expect as a performer at that level. Because that's what I want to bring. When I'm doing a show, that's who I want to have around me in spots, whether that be someone's fighting, whether that's a driver. There's like a handful of drivers that are they work on every single commercial and movie and feature. They do all the gags. Why? Because they're the best, like Travis was saying. They are the best drivers, right? So that's your competition. That's what you're striving to be. So train. That's what we always say. I'm sure Bonsai tells everybody. You get in a bike, you get on it, drive a car, learn to fight, do your reactions, do your high falls. You as a performer and as you're coming in, that's what your job description is to be the best performer. But your competition is extremely high.
Yeah, and not to keep beating a dead horse, but they're absolutely correct. Your entire career is a competition. You can't let up. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. And, I've been around almost 30 years now. I got a couple of friends here. Esteban, I've known for years and years, still here kicking because he trains his butt off, keeps in shape, works on his acting skills. So I'm going to point him out. But you have to keep improving yourself. And to Freddie's point, yeah, I'm about to go to Budapest, so I have lists of people from 6 different countries right now that I'm looking at to hire over there. And one of the first things my producer tells me, can we look at America last? Because y'all are the most expensive. But what I say to that is, yes, they're also the most skilled. So then I have to show them why I'm bringing over these dozen people to do their jobs. And they watch the tape, they see the video, they see them in person, and they go, oh, okay, great, yeah, that's fine. So if you have talents that can prove that you're better than someone else, you're gonna get the job.
Yeah, go ahead, Travis.
I was just gonna say the last thing is obviously it's really daunting to view everything as a competition, and this industry is very brutal and tough. The one thing that I tell people all the time is view the competition as an asset, right? So what I tell everyone is you should take a realistic look at yourself in the mirror, know what your height and weight are. You should know the 5 to 10 guys that are above you in your same height and weight within 1 inch and 5 pounds. And you should realistically know who those guys are on the list above you. And then you should have a very honest talk with yourself and look at their reels and see why they're working more than you. And then compare your reel to their reel and then see how you can stand out and how you can beat their reel, right? All this information is like very accessible online. And I felt like when I first got into the industry, I viewed everyone as competition, kind of like we discussed up here. And then a couple years into the industry, I turned that mentality and thought, I'm just gonna befriend all those guys because inherently there's so much content going on that when they're busy, they're gonna call me eventually. And when I'm busy, I'm gonna call him eventually. So I challenge you to not just view it as competition, but view it as an asset. Go on those stunt directories, find out the people that are your competition, find out who the all-star list is above you. Who are the people that are on runs all the time above you? And then who are the people that day play more than you? And it's easy to tell. Look at their resume, look at their IMDb, and then realistically compare your reel to theirs. And show a friend of yours that's maybe not even in stunts, their reel and your reel, and say what stood out more. And just get an unbiased opinion. And I think that if you view things in that regards, where you not only constantly feel like you're fighting against everyone, but when you start to realize that this is a big communal family that eventually can help everyone, I think things will take a turn for the positive.
All right, so kind of a recap, sort of a through line for all of you is train. All right, we've always said if you're not working, you're training. So you should every single day to better your career. And Travis, that last point, I think it's really important because the people that are your size, and please feel free to jump in and correct me, but people that are your size in the beginning, yeah, they are your competition, and it's really easy to get discouraged or have sort of animosity. Oh, you know what? I should have gotten that show. I'm better for that show than that person, you know. And then you voice that opinion, and then that gets around. All right. And so, but what happens in our career is those people that you're really competing with for those first 5 or 7 years, that's where you're going to end up getting most of your work. Most of my work after 7 years is from other people my size not being available, or I'm not available and I'm going to get somebody else to do that. But if you sort of mess that up by, you know, that animosity in the beginning, you know, you're ruining your chance in the big picture for work.
Yeah, and I would also add, I think too, you guys, you can chime in on this, is I feel like recently we've moved a little bit into this very specialized, you have a lot of specialty guys. You have a lot of specialists in areas, right? Where when I kind of was first getting in, it was a jack of all trades, master of none type of mentality, right? So like when I first got in, oh man, I was doing everything all the time. I probably shouldn't say this, but we were renting cars and, you know, and we were,
No.
yeah. we were riding, we would go out and ride dirt bikes all the time. I'd go to Joe Witherall's house and practice high falls on his high fall tower. I was connecting myself with the various riggers out there and going and rigging for free, putting myself on set to carry pads, and I was learning all this stuff so that you also have this value that you're well-rounded. Right. So like if I do have an opportunity to, let's say, bring more people to somewhere, right? I want somebody I can't just be like, oh, that guy can only drive a car. He can't fight. He can't do reactions. I can't do that. Right. That person's going to come out later for 2 days to crash the car and go home. because that's what they do all the time, right? But if I'm going to bring a core team of people, I need you guys to be just well-rounded, to be able to do falls and reactions and be, reliable and dependable, and, watch my back as a coordinator if I need to have you train an actor while I go do something over here. It's knowing a lot of different things and training in a lot of different areas. It was when I first started, man, I was training all the time. It was like I took it as a job. I looked at it as a job. I'm training every day, all the time, and I trained at my house. For those of you guys don't know, I owned a martial arts school for about 18 years that I opened in 2001. And so I hours and hours of training. We tend to have people come over and we train all the time, falls and reactions, and you would do everything. So just again, back to that, just train and, and be well-rounded.
Awesome. I would love to keep on this topic, but pivot just a little bit here, and kind of talk about when we're on set as a stunt performer, there are certain things we're contractually obligated to do, right? Our job in the collective bargaining agreement. But for us, there really is a lot of unwritten rules, that we need to follow. And an example of that would be if you see a stunt coordinator moving a pad, you go there and you get the pad and you don't let your coordinator, hoof a pad. That's not we're not contractually obligated to do that, but it is a part of us in the stunt industry, that you need to be able to do. I'm wondering if any of you guys have any, thoughts along that line.
I don't mind huffing pads, but everyone else better download doing it too. So if you see me move, don't grab my pad. I'm fine, but grab another pad. It goes back to what I said earlier, being present, being aware of what's going on. So just see if there's a need anywhere with the stunt department. And yeah, there's a lot of unwritten rules that'll get you in trouble if you're not helping. People are just going to be like, "Oh, I'm just sitting over there. That's awesome." Or look, I had someone a couple years ago, his favorite thing to do on set was hang out with the actors. He didn't last long. I enjoyed firing him. So be present with your stunt team and do your job.
I'm just going to say this unwritten rule because I'm guilty of it myself. I would try to avoid being seen on your cell phone at all times. If you need to take a phone call or look at a text, just pretend you have to go to the bathroom or pretend you're going to Crafty or something like that. I know this is something that drives people crazy. I was on a show with Freddie that he was coordinating, and we literally had a photo album of one of our doubles that was on their phone the entire day. And we literally started a group chat where we would add pictures to this photo album of this person on their phone at all times. And you don't want to be that person. And I'm just voicing this because obviously I'm on my phone all the time, right? I'm on my phone constantly checking emails and checking social media. We're all guilty of it. But it is a bad representation on our department if producers see a bunch of people standing around on their cell phones, right? So out of sight, out of mind. If you need to make a call, we all have normal lives. Step outside, go to the bathroom. That would be my biggest piece of advice.
And there is a perception on a lot of sets that we're a little elitist. Like it was mentioned earlier, we're paid very well. We're not often there the entire time the crew is. So just be aware of what you're doing, because you're going to get resentment from the grip or the transpo people that have been there for 17 hours, the PAs, the people who are really busting their ass. And then we come in, look like rock stars, and sometimes leave right away. So you are a part of that entire family on that set. So to that point, yeah, don't sit there wasting your time on your phone.
Yeah, it's the same thing where I know we've touched on it a little bit, but like, you get there, like let's say you have a 7 a.m. call time, right? You get there early. No one tells you have to get there early, but whenever I work, even these, to this day, I get there 6:30. I wait, I make sure I'm cool, and then I get dressed and ready. So I'm ready at 7 o'clock. So at 7 o'clock, I'm in wardrobe, and they go, "Hey, can you go hair and makeup?" I'm like, "Yep, absolutely." I'm there. You guys don't know on the coordinating side of things, there's really a tight window that they have of like, this guy for 10 minutes, the next guy 10 minutes, next guy 10 minutes. They have a certain amount of hair and makeup personnel that that are and running a tight ship, you know? So, you know, when you come in and you go, tattoos, you have an entire full sleeve of tattoos and you're like, hey man, can I get the job? And you're like, no, dude, it's going to take you 2 hours in a special trailer just to cover up your tattoos. And you're talking pre-calls and you're talking all this stuff. So you just be aware that that's the stuff that we have to deal with on our end, right? So you get there at 7 o'clock, you're ready. You know, for me, I'm a coffee guy in the morning, so I get coffee and I eat before I go to work because we all have this NDB thing, right? It's a big deal. This is big NDB. I need my 15 minutes. I need my 15 minutes to sit down and do nothing. I don't even care about that because I just want to get there, be ready, be focused. You know, did you break? Oh yeah, I'm good. We're ready to go, right? So that's one of the things what you were saying about you're allotted a 15-minute deal, you know, to sit down. And I know people that are like, I'm stopping. And you're like, okay, well, that's cool. Travis said it earlier, but you know, let's say you're wet and you're a bunch of, your clothes are soaking. You go into your trailer and you take off all your stuff and you just throw it on the floor and you leave that trailer like your room when you lived at mom's house, right? Someone has to clean that up. Right, the wardrobe people have to go in there and bring it all out and pull the clothes out, and then that stuff comes back on us. They're like, "Hey, man, your guys, dude, they didn't even hang up their stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll give them a talking to." So all that stuff comes back to us, you know.
There's not a thing you do out there that's secret.
No.
Every department talks. Remember that.
Yes, and they all come to us for every little thing. You know, your guy's not paying attention. Your guy didn't want to do this. You want a guy to do that. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so then what ends up happening is that all those issues become an issue, and I'm like, you know, I'm not going to have to deal with this guy again, and it's off my list. Later. Yeah, and then just like Tom says, I know I call my friends for references. You know, like, hey, what do you think about this guy? Right? Travis, I need your help. I need some guys. He goes, oh, what about this guy? I'm like, no, that guy's late all the time. I don't want him. All right, cool. Right? And so we all talk, just like producers all talk, just like directors all talk, stunt coordinators all talk, performers all talk. Hey, what about this guy? So all that stuff inevitably has a big role in work.
Yeah, that's great. And ultimately sort of boils down to like there's a million ways to not get hired back and only a few ways to make sure you stay where you need to be.
I got some water if you need it. You all right? Okay.
Awesome. Let me real quick. Do we have anybody in here that is a straight actor or actress? Okay, good. I thought there would be some. Okay, so we're gonna do the next question. Not you, Greg. Next question is going to be for each one of you, and this time I'll start with Travis, so you don't get last. As a stunt coordinator, what do you expect of an actor or an actress on set? And I want to preference this by we're talking reoccurrings, guest star, co-stars, supporting, not lead actors or actresses, because obviously that's a different beast.
For sure. I obviously don't expect actors to come onto set having as wide a skill set as stunt performers. So disregard all of the harsh things that I said 10 minutes ago. For actors, the most important thing for me is that they have a willing to learn attitude, they're moldable, and they take notes. If you can do those 3 things for me, then we'll have a great day. The biggest issue I have with actors tends to be overconfidence. Actors that show up and say, I've done stage combat tons of times, I know how to do this. Or actors that have been doing their own quote unquote fight scenes. It's amazing that you have the experience, but it's more important to me that you show up with a willing attitude, willing to learn, but that you're just like a piece of clay, right? That you're willing to come to me and you allow me to kind of help mold you and tell you what's gonna make you look good, what's gonna keep you safe, in hopes that literally you'll have a double that can do all the hard stuff, and then you can make your money by doing the talking and the lines, right? That's what your job should be. You should be able to focus on doing your dialogue and bringing your character to life. So I don't expect you to have tons of stunt experience. With that being said though, I talked about the 24 hours in a day. If you do have free hours in the day, I do suggest that you try to take up some sort of film fighting, whether that's stage combat, whether that's some sort of sword class, whether that's a film fighting workshop, whether that's just going out and recreating scenes with your friends for fun, if that makes sense. So it does help to have some experience. We don't expect you to be an expert by any means as an actor, but like I said, if you come with an attitude willing to learn and you have some sort of fundamental basis, then we can pretty much make anything happen with time.
That's that really good answer. Go ahead, Freddie.
Oh, all right. Well, I would say is the willingness to listen, because what happens with us is we don't deal with the actors, right? Unless we're working on a long run where we get to see one every day, we have to train them for a long time. We don't deal with them normally, So what ends up happening is say an actor comes in and we have to do a scene where the guy gets shot, right? And you're like, all right, man, listen. You're going to get shot. You're going to take a little reaction and just lean up against the wall because the guys are cutting away. The director's not even going to see what's going to happen. And then we'll pick it up on the ground. Right. And so then you're already on the ground and you're dying in the blood. Right. And then what I find most of the time is they go, okay, here's my time. Right. Let's get shot. Bam, and they throw themselves up against the wall and they land on their knee. They hurt their knee and their knee's bruised now. And then I'm like, well, why did you do that? I told you, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to go that big, and now their elbows are hurting. And I was like, hey, you could do it once. And then now you have to do it 5 more times. And now your knee's bruised. Now I got to go get knee pads. And I'm getting yelled at because he fell on the floor. Right. And I shouldn't have even been talking to him in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So I would say, just remember that, if there's something action related that's big, we will communicate it to you. And we will say, okay, this is what our expectations are. To hit the wall softly and slide down it, or you don't have to hit the ground. Or another example, you get in a car, everyone drives to work. So they go, oh, I can drive. Right. And you go, okay, look, all you have to do is just drive up, hit this mark, get out the car. They're like, oh, hell yeah. Their seatbelt on, they get in, they're ready. And then they just pin it. And the car's, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And, there's, people lock up and do all kinds of crazy things when the camera's rolling, So it's a matter of just listening and going, okay, hey, take your time. I understand you got the character thing going on. You got a lot of acting. You're in it. But at the same time, we're trying to keep everybody safe. We want everybody to be safe, including the crew, including the camera that's sitting right there, and just being able to listen and follow those directions. And, and if something's bothering you, you communicate it to us and we can help you. And I think that's what I expect, at least.
That's great. Go ahead, Tom.
The first thing I say is to remember that we're your allies, whether it's the stunt coordinator, your stunt double, the stunt performers you're working with. We are literally there to make you look good. So if you're doing a fight scene and you got a stunt double and you got 4 people you're fighting, that's our job, is to make you look as badass as possible. Use your double is the other half of your character. I can't tell you how many times I've seen actors, actresses come on set and not only completely ignore their double, but be rude to them because they want to do all their own stunts. That person is there to help you 100% of the way. So use that. They're gonna make you look better. I can guarantee you that almost nothing you're physically gonna do is gonna match what they're gonna be able to do. So use their abilities to make your character look better. Put the ego aside, think about the character you're forming. They're the other half of it, and just have fun. Whatever you're allowed to do, and there's gonna be some things you're not allowed to do because of insurance reasons, or sometimes because we judge that you're not going to be safe. And that's why your double's going to come in. And then there's other times where, and I'll say the absolute best case scenario is you do this fight really well and we get to see your face all throughout it. So again, to their point, be a sponge, listen to everything, learn, especially if you get rehearsal time. If you get rehearsal time, which is rare in television, unfortunately, but if you get it, take advantage of it. When I was doing Punisher, we had John Bernthal, who was an absolute animal. That man would come in during lunch, he would scarf food down, and he would want to rehearse and train. Then when we'd wrap each day, he'd want to train if it wasn't a crazy day, or he'd want to come in early the next day. He put in the effort to get as much time as possible into his fight scenes. And like Freddie said, it's different if you're the lead character, you run a show, you're gonna have time to do that. If you're just coming in as a day player, Oftentimes if you're doing a stunt sequence, we're going to reach out to you, we're going to talk to you, we're going to gauge your physicality. Bring it up then. Hey, I'd love to come in early that day, put in some time in rehearsing. I want to be seen as much as possible, and just take advantage of whatever skills are put in front of you from the stunt department.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I always kind of say on set, to actors, and I believe it was Tom that touched on it earlier. That I can do my own stuff. I can take my own hits. But how I related to the actor is in stunts we train all the time. Just like you as an actor are going out and spending all of these hours training your craft as an actor. And it works the other way around too. As a stunt person, they go, oh, why are the actors not saying their line? Not understanding all the little technicalities that go into what you're doing as an actor. And then a stunt person maybe not having that training and just kind of blown over. So it works the same both ways. And the other thing I want to say, and if you guys want to add anything to this, is as an actor, you will always have the right to request a double. Usually that's all worked out beforehand, but if you end up on set and you're like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this, you always have that right to request a stunt double. Yeah.
Unless you're on a very low budget indie project that doesn't afford them. And honestly, that's kind of where you learn the most, to be honest with you. I just helped an actress out last week that got onto a low budget show and they couldn't afford a double. And so she basically was freaking out because she essentially was going to have to get pulled by her ankle and do a front fall. And it was going to be her face. And she basically took the time to book some private lessons and we worked it through and we were able to do it. But I was just sitting there thinking, like, if I was an actor that didn't know me, if she didn't know me, like, what would you do in that situation? And it's pretty daunting because you don't necessarily know how to keep yourself safe. So again, I would just try to get as much experience as you can out there. One of the things we tell stunt people all the time, and I'll just put this out there maybe for actors, just because it may be a valuable tool for you, is one way to get better at fights. The only way to get better at fights is by doing fight scenes. One of the easiest ways to get better at fights is by replicating existing fight scenes. Especially as an actor, I see a lot of actors that go out and try to shoot their own fight scenes, whether it's just on their iPhone or it's just like an Instagram clip. And we can tell that you don't choreograph fights. If you've done something good, there's maybe a chance we've seen it. If you've put out something bad, there's a 80% chance we've seen it and it's been shared to each other, right? And I just say that because I see a lot of actors that even when they come to the workshops that we do at our gym, everyone's very quick to want to post themselves on day one doing a drill they just learned. And I'm like, guys, this is day one of a 5-day workshop. You're clearly here because you need to increase your skill set. Maybe let's not show the world a drill you learned on day one, right? The world only knows what you present to them. So as an actor, I just say be very picky about what you put out there. I see a lot of people kind of inundating social media with too many clips. I would streamline it and only put out clips that are really good. And like I said, if you need somewhere to start, just start by replicating 10 to 15 seconds of an existing fight scene. That way you've eliminated the need to choreograph, you've eliminated where to put the camera, you've eliminated where the hits stack. You literally have a template to copy side by side, just like in acting class when you do a scene from another movie, right? Do the same thing with a fight scene. And before you know it, you may be able to pull 4 seconds from this scene, 3 seconds from that scene, 5 seconds from that scene, and before you know, you have like 20 to 30 seconds that you can show your representation, and it's you doing fights or little bits of action or little pieces of choreography here and there. The other thing I would say is just don't take it personal when we talk about the amount of time that stunt people put in training. That's just because we know you guys are putting in all your time working on dialogue and characterization and ways to emote and ways to make choices. So it's not a slight on you by any means, but safety is a really, really big thing. I'm not gonna blast the movie I was on, but I will say this. I was on a movie I was assistant coordinator on. We were doing a fight scene with 2 very capable leads. Both of them have won Academy Awards. And we literally had 4 moves left in the whole fight scene. So much so that the crew started joking, oh man, what are we gonna do after lunch? And I was like, don't say that, guys. You just jinxed us. We have 4 moves left. They're like, nah, it's home free. We literally just do these 4 moves and then we start the chase scene. The next take, we yell action. Our actress goes up and is just supposed to put a rear naked choke on our actor. Just leaned a little too hard, tore his ACL. We instantly had to change the entire 3rd act of the movie because he can no longer run and he just tore his ACL on the spot. And we have 2 weeks left of filming. And so that's the perspective that we come from when we say we don't want to risk you getting injured. It's not an ego thing. It's not because you're not skilled. It's just because you are a lot less replaceable than the back of somebody's head. And so just keep that in mind. And yeah, use us, like Tom said, as a resource. Like, talk to your stunt coordinator, ask as many questions as possible. If your stunt coordinator brushes you off, that is not a good representation of what a stunt coordinator should do and the way that they should treat you. We should always have time for you, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure you're safe. And we also want to make sure that you look amazing on screen, because we're all part of that collaborative process.
And I get asked all the time, what was it?
Oh, I just said it's all a collaborative process. So at the end of the day, we just want you to look amazing, because my name's on those credits too. And that's the one cool thing about our job that's a blessing and a curse. Everything we do lives on film forever. If it's horrible, it's out there forever. If it's amazing, it's out there forever. Yeah. The one caveat, though, that we have is most of the times you're just seeing this. But for actors, we're seeing your face 200 feet big. And so we see all of your perfections, but we also see all of your flaws. And so that's why at the end of the day, our goal is just try to help you make you look as good as possible, because at the end of the day, our names are on the same project.
And along those lines, like I was saying, even if it's not the stunt coordinator or stunt double, you're going to be able to find out from someone on the team where to go. And not to like advertise for you, but Travis owns a gym. And I've sent many actors, I've told many actors, and I'm based out of Atlanta, about his gym down there, and go to workshops. I mean, train yourself. And it's fun. And now you've got a new skill in your acting bag. So go learn some fights, go learn some falls, make yourself a little more equitable to the project if they're going to hire you. And then, like I said, the best case scenario, we're going to see your face even more, and your stunt double takes the hard hits. But you want to go after action roles, train for it.
I don't know if you guys can attest to this also, but I'll just say this because you may not know this from the other side. In the last 5 years, I have been brought on to several final chemistry reads where it's the final 2 males and the final 2 females. And I've been brought to these chemistry reads to run them through a 20-minute physical gamut to see how physical they are. And at the end of these chemistry reads, the producers and the directors always ask me, who would you pick? And I go, it's an acting role, pick the better actor. And they always go, it's close. That's why they're both here at the chemistry read. Who will be able to fight in 4 weeks? So it really matters, right? Like, this never existed maybe 10, 20 years ago, where we're having a final say in what actors are being cast in these roles. And it's simply because of a time perspective and also a money perspective. Who can you make look good in the least amount of time with the least amount of work possible? And so we just say that just so that you know that it is good to add things to your repertoire. It is good to have these things in your skill set, because if you show up at that chemistry read, you definitely want to be the person that can outshine the other person. These days, physicality is a huge part of what you are as a character.
That's great. So a quick recap on that then is, as an actor, use the coordinator, use your doubles as a resource, and train if you want to have your face more visible, as an actor, then obviously you have to train that, just like you do when you go to, your hours of acting class a week. It's the same thing.